Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're building something absolutely crucial, a highly practical defense playbook. We're going to be talking about something invisible, entirely natural, but potentially deadly, the Hantaan virus. Our main goal right now is to arm you with the exact everyday strategies you need to stop this virus from sneaking into your daily life.
So I want you to picture this for a second. Think about your garage, or maybe a rustic cabin in the woods, or even just a dusty storage shed. Now, normally, you're probably worried about stepping on rusty nails, pulling a muscle lifting something heavy, or maybe even a stray spider, right? But what if the absolute most dangerous thing in that room isn't a sharp tool at all? What if it's literally the dust settling on the floorboards? Sounds crazy, but this isn't science fiction, folks. It's a very real biological threat.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between two members of the hantavirus family. You might remember the headlines about that tragic MV Hondias cruise ship outbreak. That was the Andes virus, a super rare strain from South America that can actually spread person to person in close quarters. But the Hantaan virus, the one responsible for the very common hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, especially over in East Asia, it operates completely differently. It relies on an animal to environment to human pathway, meaning you don't catch it from someone coughing on you. You literally catch it from your environment. All right, here's our table of contents for today's playbook. We're looking at 6 main areas. First, the invisible dust threat. Then, what the Hantaan virus actually is, and the specific danger of aerosols. After that, we'll hit our core strategies for daily life, excluding rodents, cleaning safely, and outdoor precautions. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The invisible dust threat, an unseen enemy in human spaces. Just take a look at this microscopic view. Under a microscope, Hantaan looks like, well, a pretty standard pathogen, complete with those little envelope spikes that bind to our cells. But it's the delivery system that makes this thing such a game changer. See, this virus doesn't need a mosquito to bite you. It hides right in plain sight. It basically hitches a ride on common dust particles, and the moment you disturb that dust, the virus goes airborne. It completely bypasses your skin, riding your next breath straight down, deep into your lungs. There's just no way around it.
Moving right along to Section 2. What is Hantaan virus? The history and mechanics.
So, to really wrap our heads around Hantaan, we need to understand the concept of a reservoir host. For this specific virus, the main culprit, or reservoir, is the striped field mouse. Now, these guys love hanging out in rural areas and crop fields. And because the virus and the mouse have been co-evolving together for a very, very long time, the mouse is essentially immune to the disease. It never gets sick, not even a sniffle. But, and here's the kicker, it continuously sheds the virus out into the environment through its urine, saliva, and feces.
You know, for decades, this illness was an absolute medical mystery. We're talking thousands of soldiers during the Korean War falling incredibly ill with severe fevers, bleeding, kidney failure, and nobody had a clue why. It wasn't until 1976 that Dr. Lee Ho-wong finally cracked the case. He managed to isolate the virus directly from striped field mice caught near the Hantaan River in South Korea. His groundbreaking work finally proved what was going on. Humans were catching a wild rodent virus.
Which brings us to Section 3, the danger of aerosols, why sweeping is a hazard.
So the crucial point is this absolute golden rule. Do not sweep or vacuum dry rodent droppings, ever. Think about human instinct for a second. You walk into a dirty, dusty cabin, you see a bunch of mouse droppings on the floor, and your very first impulse is, what? Grab a broom, right? Or maybe bust out the vacuum. But doing that is literally the most dangerous thing you could possibly do. Sweeping or vacuuming those dry droppings launches millions of virus particles straight into the air. It essentially creates a toxic aerosol cloud right at face level. You definitely do not want to breathe that in.
All right, on to the mastery part. Section 4. Strategy 1. Exclude rodents, the first line of defense.
Listen, the absolute best way to avoid the hantavirus, just make sure the reservoir host never gets into your space to begin with. You've got to keep these rodents out. How? By sealing up those tiny holes and gaps in your walls, doors, and around pipes. Also, you need to store all your food, and yes, that definitely includes pet food, in thick, tightly sealed containers. Keep in mind, rodents are drawn to our human spaces because we offer them free shelter and food. So by taking out the trash, cutting the tall grass, and clearing out the clutter, you're essentially destroying their nesting sites and cutting off their supply lines. Send them packing. Next up, Section 5. Strategy 2. Clean safely. The wet clean protocol.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how to handle an infestation if you do find one. This counterintuitive wet clean protocol is your absolute best defense. Okay, so you find droppings. Step 1. Open all the doors and windows. You want to ventilate that room for at least 30 minutes. Let it breathe. Step 2. Slap on some rubber gloves and completely drench the area with a household disinfectant. A simple bleach solution works wonders here. Just 1 part bleach to 10 parts water. Now, step 3. This is honestly the hardest part for impatient people. Let it soak. Give it 5 to 10 solid minutes. This physically deactivates the virus. And finally, step 4. Wipe it all up, wet, using paper towels. Remember, never dry sweep. Wet cleaning completely neutralizes that aerosol threat we talked about earlier.
Moving outside, we have Section 6. Strategy 3. Outdoor precautions, staying safe in the wild.
When you're out hiking or camping, you have to remember, you're in the rodent's territory now. So to stay safe, avoid sleeping directly on the bare ground. Always use a cot, or at the very least, a tent with a fully sewn-in floor. You also want to keep your campsite meticulously clean, so you're not attracting hungry mice in the middle of the night. Oh, and most importantly, if you happen to spot a rodent burrow or a nest out on the trail, just leave it be. Do not disturb it.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our final strategy wrap-up. This perfect visual cheat sheet summarizes your daily life defense. Here's what you do. Always ventilate closed spaces, always wet clean using bleach, and always wear your gloves. On the flip side, here's what you don't do. Never sweep, never vacuum, and absolutely never touch live or dead rodents with your bare hands. It really is that straightforward, folks. But committing this simple table to memory, that can quite literally save your life.
We've talked a whole lot today about defense, right? About cleaning safely, and about keeping rodents out of our homes. But let's zoom out for just a second. The research is telling us that things like mass deforestation, expanding agricultural land, and urban sprawl are actively destroying natural habitats. And what does that do? It pushes these infected rodents right into our homes and barns. So I really want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. As we continue to expand our footprint, are we doing enough to respect the boundary between human spaces and wildlife ecosystems? Because, as the Hantaan virus so clearly shows us, when we start blurring those boundaries, nature has a very microscopic and very dangerous way of pushing back. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep this playbook handy, stay safe out there, and I'll catch you next time.